Welcome back to the Retro Wave. I am your host, El Tiburon, here to talk about our favorite Summerslam matches. With me again, Mr. 24/7, Mr. One Night Dance. He's sporting a Borat thong, some sandals, and a sailor's hat because of this heat. Sexy Chino. Welcome back, Sexy Chino. What's going on?
It's good. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, we're gonna go through Summerslam matches, and we're talking about like starting from '88 and beyond.
How's this heat treating you? This is the perfect time to talk about SummerSlam because I'm like have swamp ass right now.
Yeah, heat. It's pretty hot. I think was it like yesterday around here? It got like almost to 100.
Yeah, it's bad, pretty bad right now. And because of the integrity of the podcast, I turned off my fan, so I'm like melting now. I wanted to leave my fan on, but it didn't sound good. It was like creating too much noise. So doing it for the listeners out there, for you over there listening while driving your car, you over there listening but while mowing your lawn. I'm doing it for you. Speaking of that, let me
Yeah,
bring
hit us up for that.
let me bring something up. Today, I went on my Buzzsprout account. Buzzsprout is the host I use for creating my podcast, and I hit 1,000 downloads. I know there's podcasts out there that have millions, billions of downloads. So maybe 1,000 is not a lot, but to me, it's a lot. So I just want to thank. First of all, I want to thank all my guests. Chino, you're like the most common one on here, so thank you. Every other guest that's been on here, anybody that's listened, anybody that's hit the download button. So I'll name some people off the top of my head: Lydia, Anubis, Killer Rules, Tylor, Mr. Tight White, Billy, bunch of other people. So thank you for anybody that's ever hit the download and checked it out. That's thousands, not a lot in the big scheme of a podcast, but it means a lot to me. Yeah, we're talking SummerSlam. SummerSlam. Let me ask you, because I know when we did the
Feel the
wrestle,
heat.
yeah, but feel the heat for sure. When we started this podcast last year, you were on the first episode. We were talking about our favorite WrestleMania matches of all time, and we talked about the significance of WrestleMania, right? So would you say, WrestleMania is the Super Bowl, the granddaddy of the wrestling universe? Would you say SummerSlam is kind of like the Diet Coke or the light beer version of WrestleMania? Or how do you view SummerSlam?
I think SummerSlam is like more of a secondary. I guess right now the way they have it, it's like it's WrestleMania, then it's Royal Rumble, then it's kind of SummerSlam. What do you say? Even though Royal Rumble was like started like in '88 with like in USA, it was like a tryout thing, and then in '89, then it became more of like a pay-per-view. But overall, it's funny because like Survivor Series was done before SummerSlam.
Was it also Survivor Series?
Yeah,
When was the first SummerSlam? 88 or 89?
so SummerSlam was '88, '88. Remember? That was from Madison Square Garden.
Was that
Mega Bucks versus Mega Powers.
okay, so that was the first one. It wasn't Brutus and Hogan versus Zeus and Macho. That was the year after?
No, that's '89. You talk about '88, the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks. Jesse Ventura being the special referee.
Right.
Miss Elizabeth doing the little thing with the dress. Yeah. So, well, back in the day, man, that was a big deal, right? That's a fact. Not an understatement.
It was. You compare that to like the stuff that was done in the Attitude Era, and that seems like so tame, but back then, like you said, it was a big deal back in the 80s.
Yeah, that was a huge deal. Like you never thought you'd see that from Elizabeth.
Right. So yeah, I think for a while it kind of seemed, well, at least in my eyes, it seemed like SummerSlam was supposed to be like the light, the Diet Coke of like WrestleMania, like a little bit more fun because they wouldn't have like a serious championship match. Like the first couple were tag team matches, right? That we brought up. Like it seemed like SummerSlam was supposed to be a little bit more loose, a little more fun than WrestleMania. But I think, but back then, you only had like a few pay-per-views. They called it the Big Four back then, right? You had Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and that was it. Yeah. And Rumble and Survivor
and later
Series.
on they added King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, but for a while it was just those four. And if you think about it, like Survivor Series and Royal Rumble were more specialty, more like novelty pay-per-views because they had like a gimmick, right? The Royal Rumble and then the Survivor Series, it was, the ultimate in team competition. It was a teams, right? So it did seem like SummerSlam was kind of like the summer version of WrestleMania because they actually had like singles matches.
Yeah, like it's interesting. Like I told you, Survivor Series was first, but then SummerSlam became a bigger deal, and then like Royal Rumble took over, and like it looks like Survivor Series is just left on the side.
Yeah, but nowadays it just seems like there's so much wrestling, so many pay-per-views. I don't know if SummerSlam is as big as it used to be, but I mean it's to me it's like you were brought up earlier. For me it's like for me it's Royal Rumble first. The one that I like, even if I'm not watching wrestling, which I'm kind of out of it now, like in and out of it. But that's the one that even if I don't know anybody who's wrestling, I will want to watch because Royal Rumble is just it's a fun gimmick match. And then I would probably say WrestleMania after that, and then I don't know. Then it's a toss up between whatever else is left. What about you? Where do you rank SummerSlam in the pay per views like currently?
Currently, first it's got to be WrestleMania, and then Royal Rumble, and then it should be SummerSlam. Yeah, that's what and then you want Survivor Series, but other people will pick Money in the Bank right now more than anything else. Even
Yeah,
though they like it's like they're trying to make Money in the Bank like remember old school KOR, so they want to make it really big because they wanted to put that in a excuse me, the stadium, and but they couldn't do it, so they brought it to the arena. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make that Money in the Bank mean a lot right now.
yeah. Well, you think about it, it's like the Royal Rumble. Like the winner of the Rumble gets a title shot at WrestleMania. The winner of Money in the Bank, the at least that match gets a shot at the title whenever. So it's kind of like a big push for whoever wins that.
True. It's just like Money in the Bank. But it kind of takes away from Royal Rumble's thing. Like if you win the Royal Rumble, you get the title shot at WrestleMania. But then also, like I said, if you win the Money in the Bank, you have it for the whole year.
Yeah. So you think
So
it kind of stole the
kind of
spotlight a little
takes
bit?
away from Royal Rumble. Yeah, it kind of takes away from Royal Rumble. That's what I think in a way. Because like if you can't win the Royal Rumble, you still have a chance with the Money in the Bank.
Right. Right. All right. Well, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break, and we're gonna come back and talk some SummerSlam matches.
Hey, mate, yeah! It's that time of year again! Oh, yeah? What time of the year? What time of year, boy? You know what? Oh, the hot and the sticky time! Time to eat these! The WWF! Yes. They're the stars of wrestling ice cream bars! Oh, they're our favorites! They're everybody's favorites! Right, it's my man. The take! Oh, let me try your line!
Man, I would kill for one of those WWF Superstars ice cream bars right now.
So was CM Punk. Remember, he wanted to bring that back,
Yeah.
and he couldn't do it. But the funny thing about those Superstar ice cream bars is like some of them were really hard to get. Like the newer version of them, like they had the Honky Tonk Man. I think the Ultimate Warrior that were kind of hard to get because you usually found like the Hulk Hogan ones and I believe Savage.
I remember Savage a lot. And wasn't like Lex Luger on them towards the end? I remember the Lex Luger ones.
Yeah, but like that was like harder to get the newer versions of them.
Yeah. So you're saying we were getting old ass ice cream bars?
Hey, like, that's the ones I could find. I could get like from the ice cream truck. I don't think they were at the stores, were they? But I know, like, remember, like, what was it, like a year or two ago, the WWE decided to make the ice cream bars again.
Yeah, but weren't they like ice cream sandwiches or something? Like,
They were ice cream sandwiches and only sold at Walmart.
yeah, see, that's not the same. I don't know. Like, those ice cream bars were actually like really good. Like those '90s ones, they were legit good. I remember, and those you had to spend a little bit extra at the ice cream truck. They weren't a quarter like an icy or a blow pop or whatever what's that ice cream that was like, it was like a popsicle and it was like orange and yellow and you would just give a quarter and you could get that. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a generic one. But for a super size ice cream bar, I remember it was like $1.25, which back then was a lot, especially if you're a kid.
Now, truly, it was a lot. And the cool thing about it is like the ice cream bars came in the box and they had a trading card in it or something. I remember something like that.
Yeah, I collected those, and some of those I think like now people are selling them because some of them are worth money. But I remember I collected them, and I don't think I threw them away until like maybe 6 years ago when I got married, and I was moving, and I was like, I don't need these cards anymore, and I threw them away. I wish I would have kept those, but so yeah, it was like a cookie. Remember, it was a cookie crust, kind of like a graham cookie or something. And then it had like a wrestler on the top, on the front, like a design of a wrestler, like a silhouette, right?
Yeah, like a little silhouette of the wrestler, and like you had the cookie, had the chocolate, I believe, and it had like the vanilla. It's like the sandwich kind of style too, but
that thing was
that's what CM Punk wanted to bring back, man, and unfortunately, he couldn't bring it back the way he wanted to bring it back.
It maybe one day. Never know. Never say never. But yeah, we're gonna be talking SummerSlam. So the way we usually do things when we talk about pay-per-views is we're gonna name our 5 favorite matches of all time that occurred on a SummerSlam. So this could be 80s, 90s, and into the new millennium. And as always, we go from number 5 to number 1. And since Chino is the guest here, he goes first.
It's summertime, and the living is anything but easy, because it's time for SummerSlam. Lovely Miss Elizabeth.
You think that's how Vince McMahon lost his voice, and that's why he sounds like a warbling toad now? Of cutting those promos for the pay-per-view.
You know what was cool is like when he was cutting those promos, it's like you could feel it. He was like, "Oh my God, SummerSlam got you excited!" Like the Royal Rumble. Oh, the like participants like the Greg the Hammer Valentine, Shane Douglas, the Barbarian, things like that. It's like, oh my God, even when he was doing the Survivor Series, like that was freaking cool. I like that, because it pumped you. It's like, oh my God, it's gonna be the earthquake, but it's gonna be the King's Court,
Oh no, you gotta say
2x4.
You gotta say. And Zeus.
And Zeus.
And the earthquake.
Yeah, but McMahon was like really like the introductions. Oh my God, it's like you don't hear that anymore. You don't hear that like McMahon really put so much into that introduction by itself.
I don't think he's physically capable of doing that anymore. But man, I would be like, if we tuned into a pay-per-view now and it started with like that voice, come on now, how awesome would that be?
Sure would be great.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go to your number 5 pick. This is Chino's 5th all-time favorite SummerSlam match.
Rick Rude will have a very tight grip on the Intercontinental Championship belt, but can he withstand the fury of the Ultimate Warrior? The Warrior standing by with comments.
In my final meeting with the gods from the heavens above, as they spoke to me and hit me with the power of the Ultimate Warrior, they told me there are no more places to hide. There are no more places for the ravishing Rick Rude to run. The darkness and the cold areas that he has looked for are no longer there. At SummerSlam, ravishing Rick Rude, I will lift you into the darkness and drop you into the cold, fragile world of the Ultimate Warrior, and I will pin you. 1, 2, 3.
So at number 5, Chino's got Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude, 1989 Intercontinental title match.
Yeah, that was. You know what's funny about that? Like people say the Warrior can wrestle. Man, Rude got a match out of him in that SummerSlam. If you watch that match, oh my God, like Rude really made the Warrior wrestle. He like, and it's a back and forth too. And you can see the crowd really getting into it. Even the announcers getting into it. Because like there's a part like the Warrior slams Rude outside the ring and goes, and then you hear Shivani go, yeah, he deserves something like that. And then Shivani goes, and then Jesse goes, oh, so you can shoot somebody outside the ring? To Shivani. Goes, you're probably the stupidest guy. I thought Mansoor was the dumbest guy here. But like little things like that, man, it's like you miss, you know. The commentating was there, like the fans were there. I don't know, that if you watch that match itself, it's better than the WrestleMania 5 match. And it really showed that the Warrior was willing to wrestle that day. Or Rude made him wrestle.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this match since the 90s, but I do remember that being impressed with this match because, you know, I wasn't a big fan of the Warriors' like wrestling ability, I guess. But when I saw that match, I was like, this is a pretty good match. And the crowd was like super into it too. So yeah, I agree. This is one that I thought about, but I didn't watch it. I was gonna watch it, but I was like, nah, I don't think it'll crack my top 5. But I do remember it being a really good match, and it was like like you said, it was a return match, right? Because Rude beat Warrior at WrestleMania 5 for the Intercontinental title with the help of Bobby the Brain, and then Ultimate Warrior got his rematch at SummerSlam '89. I don't know why I remember in the match, like, does Warrior give Rick Rude almost like a version of the Tombstone or something? But he has him like in a pile driver, and he drops to him. But Warrior drops to his knees, or I don't know if it was a power bomb, but he gave him like some weird power bomb Tombstone move.
Yeah, that was Rick Rude.
Warrior gave it a Rude, right?
It was the other way around, my bad. But yeah, it's just like Rude had him up. It looked like a power driver, but then he like dropped him, like he kept him in a position, and then he dropped to his knees, and it kind of like, yeah, gave him like a kind of power bomb position.
Oh, okay, it was Rude, yeah. I was like, I just remember that from that match. I thought it was Warrior, but yeah, I was like, what the hell is that? But it was like a Tombstone powerbomb kind of thing. But yeah, great pick. All right, let's go to my number 5 now.
Excuse for a man walking around with it has been reduced to nothing more than a cheap imitation of John Cena. Never shuts up. You can't see me. Hustle, blah, 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 Rollins approved. So very, very original, Seth. No one's ever done anything like that before. Congratulations. You are not a John Cena ripoff. It is about time you made that mean something. You are Seth Rollins. You were handpicked by Triple H to usher in the future of the WWE. And a man like that does not make a decision that big unless he thinks that you share the same attributes as he does.
So my number 5 pick, I've even surprised myself with this because I'm old school to a T, but I really like this match. I've got John Cena versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2015. So I didn't bring this up earlier, but in preparation for this episode, I watched about 10 matches, give or take. But I saw this one again. I just remember I remember liking this match when I last saw it. It's a really, really fun match, really fast paced, a lot of action. The only thing that it might have been a little bit higher on my list, but the only thing that kind of was like, was when Jon Stewart comes in from the I don't know if he was still the host of the Daily Show at that time, but he comes in and he gives Cena a chair shot. So that might have tainted it a little bit for me. I mean, I get why, WWE does that. They want to get the mainstream attention, but it's still a great match. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this match.
No, that was a good match. And like you said, the Jon Stewart thing, of course, is about getting the media attention. But no, it was a that was a good match overall because like it showed like Seth Rollins can go with John Cena, and Seth Rollins is doing so much better and keeps changing the character right now and everything else. But overall, man, it's like Seth pulls some stuff out that he hadn't pulled out before in a while. And that's what's cool about it. It's like that's what you should do, like in like matches. It's like when you pull out certain moves that you don't see in a while. It's like wow, and that's what gets the match going, and in the way how you treat the match and how people react to it, and you just go with it, and with the facial expressions and everything else. But yeah, Seth Rollins is getting so much better, and that match was good because it showed a lot from Seth, and it takes two to tango. So Cena was there to help too. But like I said, Cena is somebody who's willing to put you to the next level, and he really helped Seth get into the next level that way.
Yeah, and I'm not a big, well, wasn't really a big Cena fan, but and I know that he gets like a lot of shit, like that you can't wrestle. What was it like when he wrestled Rob Van Dam at One Night Stand? That you can't wrestle, and he would get a lot of those chants. But I don't know, man. I've seen him in a lot of matches where I'm like, I don't know, Cena kind of like, yeah, he's not Dean Malenko or or Chris Benoit or anyone like that, but he holds his own. Like he does his part.
Yeah, it's just when people say you can't wrestle, they're probably think technically wrestling. But if you go the overall word wrestling or pro wrestling in general, it's so many different aspects. Like they always talk about, like Alfno says, that at WrestleMania 3, the great match was Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage, but who drew the money was Andre Giant Hulk Hogan. So you got to say who was wrestler, and then if you talk about technical wrestler, then you can say that because but not everybody could be such a good technical wrestler. The whole thing is like use your technical ability at the same time. You still have to be able to do a promo and also be able to get in the ring and be able to hang with somebody who can technical wrestle like that.
And he gets the reaction, like whether people like Cena or not. His matches are some of the loudest matches on the card. So at the end of the day, I mean, you should know better than me. Isn't that really what matters at the end of the day? Which matches get the loudest reactions?
It's basically who can sell tickets. How about that?
Yeah, true. And for me, you brought up Rollins. Like I'm, at least in the last like 15 years, I'm kind of in and out of watching WWE. But I remember in seeing this match, I was like, man, this Seth Rollins guy, he's pretty damn good. like you brought up earlier, he did some stuff that he wouldn't pull out, like, maybe on a Monday Night Raw or whatever, another pay-per-view. But in this one, I remember he hits like some moves that I'm like, oh crap, I didn't know he had that in his arsenal. Like he does that. I don't know. You probably know the name of it, like a moonsault into a 450 splash. What's that called?
It's called Sky Twister Press, I believe.
Yeah. He hits that. He does like he counters. Well, he matches Cena with picking up Cena off the mat, like in a kind of like in a power slam, and then he throws him on his shoulders and gives him the FU because Cena had done it to him, I think, like a few minutes before. But Seth Rollins does it to him too, and it's kind of like, say what you want about John Cena, but that dude looks like he's chiseled out of stone. I'm not to say that Seth Rollins doesn't look jacked, but Cena for sure looks bigger than him. But Seth Rollins does the exact same thing as him, picks him up, then throws him on his shoulders into a FU. That was pretty impressive too.
Yeah, it's just like people don't think that Seth is as strong as he is. He's a pretty strong guy, and there's a lot of guys that don't look that big. They're in good shape, but they're pretty strong.
Like a Cesaro, maybe, right? Like a Cesaro just looks very lean, but that dude I've heard is like as strong as a horse.
Dude, remember what he did to the Great Khali? with the swing.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
400 plus pounder. It just around.
Yeah, but maybe Seth Rollins has like that core. They call it that core strength. You know, he does the CrossFit stuff. So I'm sure he has that like core strength, kind of like a Cesaro. But yeah, man, that's my number 5 pick. So yeah, let's go to Chino's number 4 favorite SummerSlam match now.
Look at this. The Kid blocking again. Another chop by the Kid. The Kid using his feet now as well. Sets up Hakushi. No, bit of reversal. Off the rope and oh, look at that. What a maneuver that was by the 1-2-3 Kid. Now Hakushi on the outside of the ring. The 1-2-3 Kid. What's this? No. Oh no.
At number 4, Sexy Chino has the 1-2-3 Kid versus Hakushi at SummerSlam 95. Tell us about this. Why is this number 4?
Because this is a sleeper match. See, people were looking at the big guys and things like that, but when you watch this match, it's like so much of the timing is there. The moves were very impactful. You know, it wasn't that long of a match, but everything meant something. It's like, and it showed a lot of the skill ability of both competitors in that match. It was really good, fast-paced match. Like, whoa, you weren't expecting at that time in '95. And Hakushi and the Kid definitely put a good match, in my perspective, as watching this match.
This was the opener, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. It was the opener in '95.
Yeah, and I remember. I'm glad you put this one on there because I was a big Hakushi fan back in the day, and I remember when this match was announced. Like, I didn't care about any of the other SummerSlam matches on '95. Well, '95 was that Diesel versus King Mabel? It was, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't like excited
It
for
also
that
had
match at all.
What about the ladder match between Razor and Shawn, the secondary one?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, looking forward to that one for sure. But outside of that match, the ladder match, like I don't think there was really anything else on there that I was like, oh, I can't wait to see. Didn't Brett wrestle Isaac Yankem on this one too?
Isaac Yankem.
Yeah, I was not clamoring to watch that match. but Hakushi versus 1-2-3 Kid, like you said, is a sleeper match. Like maybe the casual fan is not gonna be like, oh yeah, can't wait to see that. The casual fan is probably like, oh, the ladder match, the main event with Diesel. But us being wrestling nerds, I was with you. I was like, man, I can't wait to watch that match. But honestly, for me, I don't remember liking it. Like, I think maybe I overhyped it in my head, and maybe it didn't meet the expectations I had as the little kid version of me. But I don't know. Maybe I need to give it another watch. I don't know what you think about that.
Give it another watch because, like, I'm telling you, like, the timing is there, and even though it's a really good fast pace for the time. How about that? Remember, because like back in the day, it wasn't like the Rey Mysterios or things like that.
I do. I'm glad you also brought up this match because we can talk about Hakushi, because I don't know how many times we're gonna be able to talk about Hakushi, and man, like the stuff that he was doing, like nobody else was doing, not even the Kid. There's that one move that he would do where he would run off the ropes, do a handspring, and then do like a moonsault to the outside of the ring and land on the wrestler. And I was like, the precision, the timing, the agility to hit that's like, there's not a lot of room for error. There's not a lot of margin for error on that one.
Yeah, you're right. Because like he also did a lot of springboard.
You sound like you're losing your voice. You don't have some water? You want to get some water?
Yeah, I kind of losing my voice, but yeah, it's like he had a springboard, and remember, like his springboard was pretty cool because like back in the day, it's not a lot of people springboard.
I don't remember seeing anybody do a springboard, especially into a moonsault to the outside of the ring. But yeah, I remember liking that move, and I remember really liking his music. He had like that little like, it was like Japanese, but very like, it had like, you would hear storm sound effects, and from what I don't know if I had heard it on something to wrestle with, the podcast, like, but they said that Hakushi was supposed to be kind of like the antithesis of the Undertaker. I don't know if you remember that he was supposed to like be like the rival to the Undertaker. Like Taker was all in black and Hakushi was all in white, but they were both like these mysterious characters. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember. They said like Hakushi was supposed to be the opposite of the Undertaker. Remember, like that's what the theme song was supposed to be, the opposite of the Undertaker.
Yeah, but I don't know if Bruce Pritchard said it or something, but then they saw like Hakushi and they were like, oh man, this guy's like way too short. So maybe that's why they never like did a feud between Hakushi and the Undertaker, because Hakushi was way too short to really be, like, I guess, be a viable threat, I guess, to the Undertaker.
I think they had that match in Japan, remember?
Oh, did they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but if I'm correct, they did have that match in Japan.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up. If it's on YouTube, I have to check that one out.
I think it is on YouTube, but yeah, I believe, yeah, they had that match in Japan. Hakushi for the Undertaker.
Oh, very cool. Well, I'm glad we got to talk about Hakushi. All right, so that was your number 4. Let's go to my number 4 pick now.
That anybody in the world could ever have.
That ain't you, Vince.
He comes right back.
Yes! Look at this! That's the Macho's partner. There he is, Hulk Hogan!
We don't care about the phone call that Andre the Giant and the $1 Million Man know about it. We don't care because, number one, you and I are fighting for different things, man. You and I are fighting for the love of all those Hulkamaniacs, for the love of all the madness, yeah. Number two, Macho Man, you and I are fighting for the same lady, brother. She is now our manager, and you and I are fighting for her honor, Macho Man.
No way, I don't think so. Ha ha ha.
So at number 4, I've got the first ever SummerSlam main event. Now that you've informed me that this is the first SummerSlam, I've got the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks as my number 4 pick, 4th favorite all-time SummerSlam match. I saw this match a few weeks ago, and it's just like a really fun tag team match. And, I wasn't the big, like as a kid, I wasn't the biggest Andre fan because I thought he was like really slow and all he would do. At this point, he had a lot of like injuries, a lot of back injuries, and he was bigger. So he couldn't do a lot. So I wasn't a big fan of his style of wrestling. But I think like he did his part in this match. Like they brought him in to do a few things, and the stuff he did meant something. Like, Hogan's not known as the best technical wrestler, but he did, Hogan does what he does, his stuff. But and the crux of it, you had 2 of the best wrestlers, probably in-ring wrestlers. You had the Macho Man and DiBiase, like really going in there and doing like the technical stuff and the high-flying stuff and the more like pro wrestling stuff, like the purist stuff. So I don't know. I really think this is a fun match, and the crowd was like super into it too. Like you mentioned, Ventura was there as the referee, so you don't know if he's gonna try to screw the Mega Powers or not. You have Elizabeth with the pulling off the skirt to help out the Mega Powers. And yeah, I don't know what you have these thoughts on this match, but I thought it was a really fun match.
I think like this match was well done for the time it was done. So everybody had a role in it. That DiBiase, Andre the Giant, Bobby Heenan, Virgil, Jesse Ventura, Savage, Hogan, Elizabeth. Everybody had a role in it. So that's what made this match very good. And plus, like you said, the crowd was really into it. 1888, you talk about like Savage is the champion, Hogan's supposed to be the guy. And if you go back, that's when they started doing like the little seeds, remember? For like Savage and Hogan, the Mega Powers will explode at WrestleMania 5.
Yeah,
They
caught
started
that.
putting the little seeds right there.
Yeah, I think Hogan at the end of the match picks up Liz, and you see the look on Savage's face, like, "Hey, what's going on here? Like, why are you touching my woman?" But it was just a little bit. They didn't give you a lot of it. It was just very like subtle.
Yeah, and like that's what's missing. Like some people, I think that's what's missing in the wrestling business. Little subtle things like that, and they just come back and become bigger. And it tells the whole story.
Like they didn't hot shot it. it was like literally a year-long storyline, right? It literally went from one WrestleMania 4, to the next WrestleMania 5.
Yeah. It was easier back in the day to do that because, like you said, it only had so many pay-per-views. They didn't have like so many pay-per-views at the time, or they had more live events, so they could wrestle that match over and over. And there wasn't that many spoilers going around, so that helped too. But yeah, just little things like that. That's what makes wrestling fun. It's like it makes you think, oh, but then it's because like you saw Savage's perspective of it, and you saw Hogan's perspective of it.
Yeah, you could see both sides. Even though I hear a lot of people sided with Savage, they thought that the Hulkster was being shady. How about you? Back then, watching that, I wasn't watching wrestling back then, so I don't have a say. But were you like, man? Did you pick a side?
Hogan. I was with Hogan.
Yeah. And let me ask you,
I was with Hogan.
You were what? You were with Hogan?
I was with Hogan, but here's another little tribute. It's like, did you know that was the only time that Hogan actually wore something in the back of his trunk?
Oh, yeah, that it said Mega Powers. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
That is the only time, because he always he went back to his yellow tights with nothing in the back. Other than when he became Hollywood and then he wore like spray paint and stuff, but he never wore that. Like, those were the only time that he ever wore those tights.
Yeah, it did seem a little weird to see that, because you're just used to seeing the plain yellow trunks. And let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big DiBiase fan. Did he ever hit that damn elbow drop off the second rope? Did he actually ever hit that on somebody?
Yes.
He did?
Yes. He hit it on like the Enhanced Talent on Superstars or like Primetime Wrestling, basically maybe SD Delivery Jones or somebody like that.
Because even in the damn WrestleFest arcade, I could never hit that damn move. When he goes up to the second turnbuckle and then he does like the little money signal with his fingers, and then he like does a elbow drop, but he's not looking at the wrestler. He just does like a back bump, but he gives you an elbow drop. And even in the damn arcade, I couldn't hit that move. And in this match, he misses it. I'm like, does he ever actually hit anybody with that? But now I know. SD Jones got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
SD Jones and the other what's it called? The other enhancement talent got it. But yeah, after that, so, but yeah, because it's funny when he misses it, he does the little flip thing. It was crazy.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
He would do like I would call it like Canyon used to do it too, where they would like land almost on their neck and completely flip over onto their stomach. All right, well, yeah, that was my number 4. Let's go to your number 3 pick now.
You were scared. You were shaken. I look at you and I laugh. Because you were the one that was always crying and whining to get out of the dungeon. And as far as a 15-foot high steel cage match, sure, you won one match at WrestleMania 10. You won one match. But I think, like everybody else, I'm starting to wonder about that one match. I think it was a fluke. I'll be wrestling next.
And number 3, Sexy Chino's got Bret Hart versus Owen Hart steel cage match at SummerSlam 94 for the WWF World Title. Tell us about this one. Drink your water.
Great. Yes. Great wrestling match in the steel cage. That's all you have to say about that. Like, I think it could be brutal, but actually, good story in a wrestling match in a steel cage. Just watch it yourself and see how the timing and everything else is. It's just such a great match altogether, to me at least. I don't know how you felt about it, but yeah, it's just like you could put wrestling and a little brutality to make a great story.
As a kid, I was pissed because I was an Owen Hart fan. So I thought, he was going to win the world title. So when he lost this one, I was like, man. I think the only thing I was happy about was that the Bulldog came back. Because the Bulldog was gone for a while, and then he makes a comeback in this match to help out Bret. That was like the awesome thing to see. Like, oh, Bulldog's back. He's back. But to me, I still like the WrestleMania 10 match more. The one they had at WrestleMania 10. But this one was cool because we were at least able to see like Owen get a title shot.
Yeah, you gotta see Owen get a title shot, and you gotta see Shine
And they
in
did
that
some.
match.
They did a lot of stuff like off the top of the cage, off the top ropes. I remember at one point, doesn't Owen hit him with like a kind of like the Samoan drop off like the cage almost? Not off the cage, but he kind of like gets Brett off the ropes and hits him with like a Samoan drop. I don't know if you remember that.
I think so. That match itself, like I said, it involved like the Amble, involved the Bulldog, a lot of the Hart family. Remember that?
Yeah, had like so at the end of so Bret Hart beats Owen, and then Jim the Anvil runs into the ring and chains up the door, and then Owen and Anvil start beating up on Bret, but Bret's brothers and brother-in-law, the Bulldog, are all at ringside, and they're trying to get into the ring by climbing the cage, and Anvil and Owen are fighting them all, knocking them all off the cage, and then finally the Bulldog and the brothers overtake Owen and Anvil and get in the ring and save Bret. But I remember as a kid being pumped to see Bulldog back, because I think he was at WCW before that, right?
Yeah, like that was his comeback thing. But I don't know if you noticed, but here's a little tribute thing. It's like, did you know when the Amble hit the Bulldog with the clothesline, the Bulldog pushed Diana Hart at the same time?
Yeah,
remember
that? They look pretty funny because you could see like Bulldog kind of grabbed her to like, all right, here we go, like we're going. But it looked like his wife's like kind of hit her head or something on the guardrail. I was like, man, that's a trooper right there. That's like a wife material right there. Like, yeah, I'll take a bump.
That's wife material right there.
You just take a fucking bump with you on the guardrail. Yeah, that's the kind of woman we need right there. I'm gonna ask my wife later if she would take that bump. See what she says.
Yeah, I don't think she would. Not that kind of bump.
All right.
Maybe he got out of nowhere. That's about it, but it'll take a lot to get her to do that. How about that?
All right. I'll have that conversation with her later. But that was your number 3 pick. You brought up Bulldog. In my next match, I've got Bulldog.
Bret, it's only 4 weeks away before we meet at SummerSlam in Wembley Stadium for the Intercontinental Championship. There's a lot of tension building in the families, and I can feel the tension building inside of me. So I know what's building inside of you, Bret. There can only be one champion walk out of the ring at SummerSlam. But keep in mind, Bret, I am undefeated in England, so may the best man win.
So at number 3, I've got the British Bulldog versus Bret the Hitman Hart. SummerSlam 92, Wembley Stadium, Intercontinental title match. Man, I saw this match again. I hadn't seen it since I was maybe in my 20s. But I saw it a few weeks ago. And, man, this match just felt different. It's at Wembley. It felt like almost like I'm not a big soccer guy, but sometimes my dad will come over and watch soccer, like in English soccer, like those leagues, and it kind of like the crowd sounded exactly like that, like with the horns and throughout the whole match. They're just like, it sounds like we're almost standing and cheering throughout the whole match. And then of course you've got Bret and Bulldog in there, 2 of the best wrestlers at that point. And they put on a really good match, and it told a good story of like, two brother-in-laws that are kind of like tearing the family apart with this match. But at the end of the day, Bulldog beats them, and they're able to shake hands at the end of the day and, give each other props for the match. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on this one.
Bulldog and Bret, that was a really good match. And the funny thing is, like, remember how Bret said that Bulldog forgot most of the match?
Yeah.
Remember that?
And that he got like blown up, right? Didn't Bret say that like Bulldog also got like really like blown up really early in the match? Like, he got like really tired?
Yeah, and Bret was saying like he helped Bulldog through the whole match. But it's funny, that match is good and all, and it told a good story, but the crowd was really into, like you said, think that's what made the match more than anything else. And it had the story, like, oh, it's the home guy gonna win it, but people really love Brett, and then Brett had to get more aggressive, so he had to be the more aggressive guy in the match. But do you remember that they had this match before, right? They tried out this match like in a Coliseum video unreleased matches. They actually had a Bret Hart versus Bulldog match, and I remember seeing the picture on PWI of that match, and I'm like, when the heck did this happen? And I finally saw it in that unreleased matches, and that match, Brett wins, but that's the first time they actually tried that match.
I didn't know
And
that.
you can see some of the stuff that they did in that match that was actually put in the SummerSlam match.
I did not know that. Now I've been, recently I've been collecting WWF Coliseum video VHS tapes. So I gotta look for that one. I gotta look for that. You said it's called unreleased matches?
Yeah, I think so. Because like I bought it off Amazon. And I was like, what? And I saw it, and then and I like it had that match. And I'm like, wait a minute, because I remember seeing, like I told you, in the PWI the picture. I'm like, where the heck did they have this match?
So it was like a pilot. It was like a pilot.
It was like a pilot match, exactly.
Yeah.
It actually was a tryout match right there to see how it was going to work. And like you can see a lot of the stuff they did in that match that went into the SummerSlam match.
Yeah, and I think this match also, it kind of almost like started the new generation. Remember back in the early 90s, WWF, the new generation, because on this card you also had Macho Man versus the Warrior for the world title, but that wasn't the last match on the card. The last match on the card was Brett versus Bulldog, and I mean, obviously they wanted Bulldog in there at the last match. I mean, hometown boy, but still, like that was the right choice. It was the better match.
Yeah, originally they wanted because this McMahon, they wanted Savage versus Warrior to go last, but then Brett and Bulldog was the one that was building it, so they decided to give it to them.
Yeah, and I think that was the right call. All right, well that was my number 3 pick. We're gonna go to Chino's number 2 pick now.
Greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
This is the moment I've been waiting for, as I've fought and crawled my way to the top. The next World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Champion right here.
Bell's gone. This one's underway. All the marbles at stake here.
Everybody here is thinking pink.
Both guys taking a lot of liberties here in this one. They know how much is at stake.
They're not laying back.
Hitman wide open on the apron. Right into the steel barricade.
At number 2 for Sexy Chino, another Intercontinental title match, and including Bret the Hitman Hart. This one's Bret the Hitman Hart versus Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam 91. Tell us about this one.
Bret Hart versus Perfect. Such a great match. And they even talk about, like, Bret always says, like they have better matches, like in live events. He literally said that. And Perfect was, if you don't actually know what's going on, Perfect was actually hurt.
Yeah, he had a bad back, right?
And he had a bad back, so this was when Perfect just put everything into it. And like, so him and Bret just came up with this great match altogether.
Remember hearing that? I think Bret said this, like Perfect was probably shouldn't have even done it. Like his back was that bad. He probably should have like not had the match, but Perfect wanted to put Bret over. He wanted to do it for Bret.
And he did a great job because like everybody remembers that match. And Perfect is just selling left and right. And that's the first time you ever saw her hook the sharpshooter from the ground, not from doing it from standing position. Remember when he was Perfect doing the leg drops and then Bret just catches the leg?
Yeah.
Goes into the sharpshooter?
Yeah, he counters like I guess like Perfect's gonna leg drop him on the crotch or something. And Bret catches his leg and turns it into a sharpshooter. But you know what? I'm not trying to shit on your match here, but I think I like the King of the Ring one better. The one they had in 93 in the semifinals, Perfect and Brett. This one, I've never thought it was that great. And I think it was because Perfect was hurt. Like, it was still like a great match, but I don't know. I'm biased to that 93 one, the one they had in the King of the Ring.
The KOR match.
Yeah, I think because Perfect was healthier at that point, and it was, I don't know. I just really liked that match, that King of the where they Perfect starts getting dirty. At that time, he's like a good guy, but he starts like going back to like his heel tendencies to try to, you know, beat Brett, and even tells Brett like, I remember SummerSlam 91. I owe you one. And they start talking about whose dad would beat whose dad. Yeah, but this, you know, great pick too. Yeah. I think this is like one that's like brought up a lot. Like when people talk about like awesome Bret Hart matches, this one comes up a lot.
Yeah, because like Bret Hart was like just getting to that pinnacle, and Perfect just helped him get to that stage, so he can set up later on so he can be the chance to get the world title.
Yeah, like this for sure.
Because then Vince saw how he was a good. Vince actually started seeing how Bret was actually the workhorse that could have the company in his back.
Yeah, this for sure established Bret as like a single star. Like, because everybody before this knew him as, he was a tag team guy. He was a tag team specialist, like good worker, but he was a tag team guy. And this was the one that was like, no, he's put him on the map. Like, this guy's a legit threat as a singles wrestler.
Yeah, he was. He was a threat, man. But yeah, like, this really helped Bret. Without Perfect, Bret would not have gone that far.
Agreed. I'm sure Bret would agree with that too. All right, well, let's go to my number 2 pick now.
I want you to remember one thing. You're a boy in a man's world. And I'm a man who loves to play with boys.
I don't even know if this promo is before SummerSlam, but I saw this on YouTube and I was like, I gotta play this one on the podcast. So that's Kurt Angle talking about him liking to play with boys. Yeah, so at my number 2 pick, I've got Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle, SummerSlam 2002. And just to break it open, you got this at your number 1 pick. So we can just talk about it together. Like, this is my number 2. Your next pick is next, but it's also the same. You have this as your number 1 match. So, and this is the only match we both have on our top 5. So,
what does that say, huh?
Yeah. So let me start first, since it was first my pick. But man, I just remember like liking this match when I first saw it. Like, you know, when it first came out, like 2002. And I watched it again a few weeks ago for this podcast. Oh man, this match is just awesome. Like, fast paced. The styles between Rey Mysterio, the high flyer, and Kurt Angle, the you know, the Olympic wrestler. Like, it's like the perfect blend of like 2 wrestlers facing each other. It kind of gave me vibes of when Rey Mysterio would wrestle Dean Malenko in WCW. Yeah, man, it's just a great match. Like, awesome match. And this is your number 1.
Yeah, this is my number 1. And my reason for number 1 is like, it was like the contradiction of it. You know, Angle was such a big star and Ray was just barely coming in. Just the way they started the match, like you said, it just built so well. Such a great chemistry, you know. And it showed a lot like what Rey Mysterio could do. And it definitely showed what Angle could do. Because Angle was like, it truly is a sports entertainment or a great wrestler. Because he could be a legit shoot guy, or he could be a great comedian, or just in general character. But man, dude, Angle in this match, him and Ray, oh my God, he made Ray look so freaking good.
This was, what you say, this was like prime Angle. Like, this was like Angle at his prime.
Yeah, man. And Angle in general, you can never sleep on Angle, dude. Guy's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
and this match,
look at the matches he's had with Shawn Michaels and Rey Mysterio, Chris Benoit. He's even had matches with Triple H, The Rock. No, all names say everything, dude. Right there.
Even in TNA, right? Yeah, I didn't watch a whole lot of TNA, but I heard some awesome ones with like Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and them.
Yeah, he wrestled AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, James Storm. Man, you talk about the list. Unbelievable, man. And that's why Angle's like so good. And he helped Ray get so much better at that night.
Yeah, and this match like blasted off like a rocket ship because it didn't, go into the chain wrestling or the slow beginning. Like right away, Rey Mysterio jumps in and gives he ambushes Kurt Angle and gives him like a springboard, like head scissors. Like this match from the get-go was like, all right, we're off. And this was another opener, like the Hakushi 1-2-3 Kid one. This was also, I think, from what I remember, the opening match of SummerSlam. Or am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
but I thought
right.
it was the opener.
You're right because what happened was that Rey Mysterio, when the lights went down, he had to go underneath the ring, and he even talked about this. It's like it was hard. I think so. It's like they were saying stories like he was trying to put on his mask, but it was kind of dark, so he couldn't get it. But he finally got it at the last minute. So everything was just like built up. So it was just an adrenaline rush in general for the whole match, from beginning to end, including trying to get the mask on underneath the ring so he can set up that springboard into that Hurricane Rana that you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that was my number 2 pick. Your number 1 pick. So now we're gonna go to my all-time favorite SummerSlam match.
These guys are the only tag team that have built-in excuses before you lose the match. Now, tell me something. What's your excuse gonna be now after this defeat? You know, Heart Foundation, I think you're just going to change your colors from pink and black to yellow, because that's exactly what you two are. It's yellow. Brother Love said, we're not afraid of nobody, and that means nobody. But the coalition will take on anybody, anywhere, at any time. Oh yeah, if you want to settle this thing, if you really want to settle it, let's go to ringside, let's put the belts up, and let's settle it right here, right now. Right now, the belts on the line,
At my number 1 favorite SummerSlam match of all time, I've got the Demolition versus the Hart Foundation 1990 SummerSlam. Man, I remember growing up, like I brought up in the past, I rented a lot of the VHS tapes because I missed out on all the 80s and all the 1990 pay-per-views, but I remember being like in love with this match when I first saw it as a kid. It was a Hart Foundation, Demolition, 2 out of 3 falls. 2 out of 3 falls for the tag team titles. And I just thought this match was like really awesome. And when I saw it a few weeks ago, just everything about the match like hit for me. And it might be like some nostalgia goggles here, but just everything, like the Demolition promo before the match starts, where they're like, is it going to be Axe and Smash? Or is it going to be Crush and Axe? Or is it going to be, they're like trying to like fake out the Hart Foundation. Like, you don't know. It could be any combination of us two. Because I guess at that time they were doing like the Freebird rules, where like any 2 members of the Demolition could defend the tag team titles. They had a young Crush join their team, and I guess they had him join, right? Because Axe was having like issues, like health issues, so they brought in Crush to kind of help out with that, to kind of phase out Axe. But like that, then the Hart Foundation promo, and Bret Hart says like, you know, like Phil Collins, we're 2 hearts beating as one. And then when the Demolition come out, they come out to they don't come out, you know, when they were bad guys, they had like some like slow, scary music or something with no lyrics. in this match, they still come out to the here comes the axe, here comes the smasher. So I was like, oh man, I'm already like all into this match, and it hasn't even started. And then just the match, like the way they put the match together, and the Demolition gets the first pinfall with the what was the name of their finisher? The Demolition Demolisher? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, that's what it was called.
Yeah, they get the first fall, and then the Hearts win the second fall by DQ. And then they get the last fall to win the tag team titles after the LOD come in to help out the Hart Foundation, because the Demolition, like, Axe comes out and he slides under the ring to kind of juke the Hart Foundation and the referee, which I never understood that part, because I'm like, they don't look like each other. Like, yeah, they have the same face paint and the same gear, but I never thought any of them, like, I would never get confused by any of them looking like each other. But Axe comes in there and takes, I think, Smash's place. So he's like a fresh guy, and he comes in to help them out. But LOD comes in and stops them and helps the Hart Foundation win. But man, I don't know. I love this match. It's a really fun match. I'm not saying it's technically as good as the Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, or Brett versus Perfect, or Brett versus Bulldog, but I don't know. This match has a special place in my heart. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this match.
No, this match was 2 out of 3 falls at the time. They really didn't use 2 out of 3 falls. And yeah, just like it brought in the LOD too, so that was good. And the match had a good pace. It wasn't just like win right away. They built up to something, then they finally won. And then the crowd was into it, because like once they saw the LOD come out, and then they do the pin on Crush, and the crowd just goes close, because they weren't expecting that. They didn't think the Hearts were going to take it. But just having the LOD there and the big shock surprise, and they beat Crush, so it's like, so there was a new guy, but yeah, it just built to that, and like a lot of people did not expect the Hearts to take that big.
Hey, let me ask you something, because I wasn't watching wrestling until '91, and I've never seen how the Demolition turned heel. Because I know in WrestleMania 6 they were face, and they beat the Colossal Connection, Andre and Haku. And then the next pay-per-view is this one, SummerSlam 90, and they face the Hart Foundation, but the Demolition by this point is a bad guy. So, like, did Crush joining their team, they just automatically became bad guys, or what happened?
Yeah, because Crush joined the team, and they started using that free for rule thing. So that's what did it more than anything.
Yeah, I just remember, like, what happened? Demolition were good guys, and now all of a sudden they're bad guys.
Yeah, that's all it took back in the days, It's like, why you guys have to do a 3-0, have to have that kind of free for rule deal, And that's just a little thing that it took to make the Demolition the heels, other than in the Hearts, or 3-on-2 back in the day. That's what told the story right there by itself.
And it kind of seemed like maybe the writing was on the wall with Axe, having I think he had back issues, right? Like him having the back issues, and them bringing the young Crush to take over, like, and then at the same time the Legion of Doom come in. So we've all heard about, like, Vince McMahon. He likes the new shiny toys, and maybe the Demolition were already had loose joints, they had already been played with. The Legion of Doom were the new shiny toy, so it was like out with the old and in with the new. Because it seemed like after this, Demolition kind of went downhill.
The thing with Axe was like, they said like he had like some fish, he ate like raw fish, and like got sick that way or something like that. I think that's the story. But the thing, I remember hearing this from Axe in the shoot interview. He said that, remember the Survivor Series, the 3 Demolitions, and Mr. Perfect versus the Ultimate Warrior, which and the Legion of Doom and the Texas Tornado. Remember that one?
Yeah, the Warriors versus the Perfect Team.
Correct. Axe. So Axe said he wasn't gonna give you Axe. So that's why, like, you didn't see him all comb back, his hair like that. He didn't look like that, because that's what Bill, who's Axe, saying like, "I'm not gonna give you Axe at the end of my," because right after that he was gone.
I always wondered that about the Survivor Series 90 because I was like, why does Axe have poofy hair? He always slicks his hair back.
He didn't want to give you Axe.
Yeah. So he was already like, he had already 1 foot out the door. Like I'm already like, I'm done here. Like, whatever. I'm kind of like mailing it in.
Pretty much, that was it. That's what he said. Like, I'm not gonna give you Axe. So that's why he had his poofy hair. Like, I remember looking at it, like, what the heck happened to Axe, too. But that's what happened.
And I later became like a huge Crush fan when he was like Kona Crush. But yeah, like Demolition was, to me, it was Axe and Smash. That package, that was the Demolition right there. Like Crush kind of got shoehorned in there, kind of brought in, as a Band-Aid, I guess, kind of. But, and he was still young. He was like very young in the business, I think, right? But they had the damn song, Here Comes the Axe, Here Comes the Smasher. Which I love that they came out to it in this match. I thought that was awesome as bad guys. And then after this, I think they went to like that. It sounded like a horror movie theme or something.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. So yeah, it's Axe and Smash. But Crush was young, like you said. But yeah, Axe said that he wasn't gonna give you Axe the last time you see Axe.
And boy, he didn't with that poofy hair. All right. Well, we went through our top 5 lists. I wanted to point something out because looking at our list, we have, between us two, we have 5 matches each, right? So that's 10 matches. 4 out of those 10 matches are different Bret Hart matches. Bret Hart was pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's what I was about to say. It's like Bret Hart is somebody who stood out in the Summerslam way. How about that?
Yeah.
Because he really put on some really good matches in Summerslam.
I mean, you had 2 Bret Hart matches on your list. You had Bret versus Owen and Bret versus Perfect. I had Bret versus Bulldog and Demolition versus Hart Foundation. And that just like kind of like stuck out to me right away. Like, man, we have a lot of Bret Hart matches. But yeah, I mean, the guy was pretty damn good, I would say. So let's go to honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions for, I'll name one and then you can name one. One that almost, it was like right there. I had Triple H versus HBK at SummerSlam 2002 when Shawn Michaels makes his comeback. And that it was like an unsanctioned match. That was a really good match. It was like number 5. It was like right there, but. Yeah, it's
right there.
Yeah, it was like right there. It was number 5, but John Cena and Seth Rollins edged it out. But that's one for me. What do you got?
Well, I had Bret versus Bulldog 92. That's that other match. I like watching the other stuff. I thought Owen was better match to Steel Cage. That's why that match didn't go that high.
Yeah. Okay. Let me name another one. I've got Razor Ramon versus Diesel at 94 with Sweetness. Was it Sweetness Walter Payton?
Walter Payton.
I kind of liked that match. I thought it was a fun match.
Yeah, like I didn't even think about that match, but that was like it was the first time they used that arena, wasn't it?
I don't remember was it like in Chicago or something?
That arena in Chicago, right?
Yeah, was it?
I think it was Chicago. Remember? What's that arena called?
Is it United Airlines?
Because I think so. It's like because they used that arena. I think that was one of the first times they used that arena, and it's funny because like after that they only used the Rosemont Horizon because WCW was using that arena.
Oh, okay. What do you got on your honorable mentions?
I got Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk.
Okay, that was when CM Punk. Paul Heyman turned on CM Punk, right?
That one? Yeah. I thought that match was very well done. And that match actually looked like Brock wanted to wrestle.
Which is surprising because that's not all the time, right? I got
so true. And
what were you gonna say?
But they're so true about that. If like Brock, if you watch a match and you see Brock wanna wrestle.
Yeah, makes a difference.
Great match. If you see Brock just want to go home, Dean Ambrose.
All right, let me pick another one. I also have Razor Ramon versus HBK, the ladder match, part 2, 1995. That was a fun one too. I think it would have made it, but there was like a couple of stuff that like I guess Shawn Michaels kind of messed up at the end, and I had never really like when I first saw it as a kid, I didn't catch it. But then I think in watching like shoot interviews or something, they talk about how Shawn was like throwing a tantrum and seeing it again a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh yeah, I see it. Like he was throwing like a tantrum at the end because he messed up in trying to grab the Intercontinental title. So it kind of like took off a few points for me. What do you got? What else?
Okay, I got Brock. Okay, I got Brock versus Rock. Remember?
I got that one too.
When Rock helped you do?
Yeah, I got that as an honorable mention also.
So Rock, so that's when Rock actually helped Brock push him to the next level.
Yeah, that's when The Rock was going to Hollywood. Was going to
and
Hollywood,
the crowd was
right?
turning on Rock because they wanted Brock. Yeah, he was going to Hollywood.
Yeah, that's when he like probably went to go film The Mummy or something. But yeah, like The Rock put him over clean, put Brock over clean. It was a good match. I also have the Legion of Doom versus the Nasty Boys, 1991. I like that match. It was like a fun match. They just like beat the hell out of each other. And you know what? I was like, was this a no disqualification match? Because I think they mentioned it on commentary, and I'm like, they keep using weapons and stuff. I guess it was like a no DQ match or something.
Yeah, I think so. That match was crazy because like how they took a sack to the LOD's move, the Doomsday Device. Oh my.
It looked like I think it was Jerry Sags, right? It looked like it killed him.
Yeah.
What else you got on your honorable mention?
Okay, let me see. I got the Hart Foundation versus Demolition.
Oh, you also have that one. Oh, you have 88. I don't think I've seen that one. Or maybe I have, but I don't remember it. Was that when the Demolition was also the bad guys? Hart Foundation,
good guys? Bad guys. And yeah, so like the Harts are just leaving Jimmy Hart. Remember? Like they're just barely turning face. Good guys.
I've seen that pay-per-view, but I don't remember that match. Go back and watch that one. I also have HBK versus Vader, 96. I remember liking that one too. But also, just like the ladder match with Razor, I saw the where he throws the tantrum. He gets mad at Vader because Vader doesn't move, and he like screams at him like, move, and then he kicks Vader in the head. Like, but as a kid, I don't remember seeing. I don't remember that sticking out to me. But now watching shooter interviews and stuff like that, I'm like, oh yeah, that was like kind of unprofessional.
Very unprofessional at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like Vader. That's one of the reasons Vader didn't get that title shot at Survivor Series. Remember?
I thought the match kind of made him look bad too. Because it seemed like Shawn Michaels got a lot of offense on him. Like, he was kind of like taking him to school. I don't know. Like, especially in the beginning. It seemed like Shawn Michaels was whooping on Vader for like a long time in the beginning. And I was like, I remember as a kid watching it and being like, I thought Vader was like this badass from like WCW. And Shawn Michaels is like just messing with him, like toying with him.
Yeah, just like Vader's like, when he came in, everybody, when I first saw, oh my God, it's gonna be great. And then he got injured, things like that, and then he was too snug with Shawn, so he didn't like that. So that didn't help him either. So that's one of the main reasons why he didn't get he was supposed to face instead of Sid, it was supposed to be Vader at Survivor Series. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
But Shawn didn't like it, so he politics his way out of it. And put Sid there instead. And that kind of took Vader out of the game. So he kind of like pushed Vader down the card.
Yeah.
Because I really thought Vader was going to take it.
Me too. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of WCW back then, but I do remember every now and then tuning in to like Saturday night. And it was like Vader was like, when they would show like packages of him or something. I think they showed a package and he like was power bombing people outside the ring, like enhancement guys and like Cactus Jack. And And I was like, man, this dude, like, I remember. So then when he showed up to WWF, I was like, oh man, this guy's coming to WWF. Like, this guy's like was like power bombing people outside the ring. Like, this guy's gonna demolish a lot of people here. But it wasn't, maybe the injuries and I don't know what. Like, kind of never really happened for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vader didn't get the WCW rub in the WWF. But yeah, it's just like Vader. It was like the time that Shawn was like was in a very different position than he is now. So he rather do what he wanted to do. And if you guys don't snug with him, he didn't like it. So he politics his way out of that.
All right, I got a couple more on my list. I have the Owen versus Brett cage match as an honorable mention.
Okay.
And I also have Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, SummerSlam 2014. Thought that was like a fun match too. And I didn't get to rewatch it, but last minute add as an honorable mention was I remember liking that AJ Styles match versus John Cena, SummerSlam 2016. I didn't get to rewatch it. If I would have got to rewatch it, who knows? It might have cracked the top 5, but for now, I'll leave it as an honorable mention.
Well, yeah, AJ Styles versus Cena, that was a pretty good match overall, but mostly AJ Styles matches are pretty good if you think about it.
Can't really go wrong with AJ Styles, I think.
Dude, AJ Styles does such a good job. He made Shane McMahon look good. He'll help Shane McMahon at WrestleMania, remember?
Yeah.
And that match, but it's like Shane was the guy that was willing to take a lot of crazy stunt bombs and big falls and that. But yeah, when you talk about AJ, when you watch an AJ Styles match, you should get a really good match.
Very true. All right. Well, that was it. But Sexy Chino, you should know by now.
Yeah, I know.
It is tradition around these parts to play a little trivia game at the end of the podcast episode. You don't look too happy about that, but
well, I don't have the best record, right? That's what
I
goes down to I don't have the best record at this.
I think I got something that might ail that. But first we're gonna take a little quick commercial break and come right back.
Come on, you guys, it's only a little. Giant! A hungry giant!
Hungry for a big honey taste.
Honeycomb big! Yeah! Big, big crunch for a big, big bite! Honeycomb cereal, part of this big, complete breakfast. Honeycomb the big, big bite! Yeah!
Gilbert, you're up! You're up, Gilbert!
And there he is!
What's up there, Sexy Chino? How's it going, brother man? So I understand you're a worker. It's your old boy Gilbert, WWF's longest reigning light heavyweight champion. That's right, baby. I'm still pimping that bad boy. So you're a wrestler, man. You're an old worker at old SoCal, huh? How's it going, brother man? So, from what I understand, from your boy El Tiburon, gave me a shout and said, Gilbert, you got to give my boy a pep talk, man. So listen. It says here you're having a loser streak on the Retro Wave Pod. But listen, brother, losing streaks are my specialty. Hey, buddy, let me tell you something about that. I say, Gilbert knows you don't think too much losing. I say, don't ever give up, brother. Don't ever give up. Look at the Gilbert. Dude, as myself, Dwayne Gill, I lost match after match after match, year after year after year. Then I got the shot at the light heavyweight title. Bada bing, bada boom. Guess who won? Ha ha! So brother, don't ever give up. Because no matter how many times you get beat, bro, as long as you wipe yourself off, get up, know you tried your hardest, Go again next time, you will start winning. Trust me on that one, brother. Take it from the longest reigning light heavyweight champion in the history of WWF, brother. So listen, Sexy Chino from El Tiburon and the Gilbert. Look, brother, keep on stroking, man, because you know you're going to do it.
Sexy Chino, I believe in you. Gilbert believes in you. We gotta break this Gilbert streak. I had to give a call to Gilbert and let him know, hey man, come give Sexy Chino a pep talk. He has a year-long losing streak on here. I think this is your episode. I think this is it. This is gonna be when you win the equivalent of the light heavyweight title. You're gonna break the streak. What do you think? You feeling confident? You don't look too confident.
You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la.
Didn't see that coming out of there.
All right. Well, if that doesn't get you, any motivation, nothing will then. So here, this is what we're gonna do. You're familiar with WrestleMania 20 questions, right? You remember those games. So SummerSlam. So we're gonna keep it easy, and it's gonna be SummerSlam 20 questions. So here's how we play the game. You have to guess a performer that has performed at a SummerSlam. You have 20 questions. You can only ask me yes or no questions. And you have those 20 questions to narrow down to find out who that performer is. And I'm going to give you a clue. I usually don't start off with a clue. But man, I have you ever seen White Men Can't Jump?
Yes.
Remember the part where Wesley Snipes is like pumping up Woody Harrelson's Reebok pumps to try to help him dunk? I feel like I'm doing that right now. I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help. I want you to dunk. I want you to dunk the damn ball.
You want to dunk the damn ball.
So I'm gonna give you a clue, and the clue is it's a male wrestler. That's your clue.
Oh wow.
So now,
well, I know it's not a diva then.
at least you know that it's a male wrestler. And like always, I'll give you the option, even though you never use it. You can make one phone call and ask a friend for help. But I have a feeling you won't use that option, so it's null and void. But ask away. You got your 20 questions.
Null and void.
Narrow down who this wrestler is.
All right. Is this wrestler in the first SummerSlam?
Is he in the first SummerSlam? I will say this, and this is going to be another clue. A version of this wrestler was at SummerSlam, but the version I'm thinking of wasn't in the first SummerSlam. Does that make sense?
A version of that was at SummerSlam?
But the version that I need you to name was not at this SummerSlam.
Okay.
So that's one question. Go to the next.
All
That's like a big clue right there with your first question.
Trying to think of the card, man. Okay, what about, is this wrestler a former champion?
A version of this wrestler was a champion in the WWF. But the version I'm thinking of never held a title in the WWF. That's question number 2.
Okay, is this wrestler 300 pounds?
No.
Is this wrestler wrestled in this year's SummerSlam?
No.
I mean, last year's?
No. I should have took away an extra question, but that's another freebie. I'm trying to help you out here. Pumping those Reebok pumps. He was not in this year, last year, or the year before. I'll even give you that. Remember that I also told you a version of this wrestler wrestled at the 88 SummerSlam. Are there any wrestlers from SummerSlam 88 that are wrestling currently?
That car.
There isn't. So this guy ain't around. That's another clue. This guy ain't wrestling anymore. Hasn't wrestled in WWF for a while.
Is this wrestler from Canada?
No, he is not from Canada. But you can say, like, the state he's from, it's kind of close to the border of Canada.
Close to Canada. So he's not long.
So far, you've got 5 questions. I'll make a phone call.
Not gonna make.
You want to call your brother?
No. Was this wrestler in the Attitude Era?
No.
Was this wrestler in the New Generation?
New Generation. Maybe like very early on. Like, yeah, he was there. He was in the New Generation. Early on, though.
Early on.
Like, he was there maybe in the inception of the New Generation. Maybe like the first year or two. Because what would you say New Generation is? Like 93 to 95 or 96?
Yeah, like 93.
Yeah, so he was like there like the first year probably. But he was definitely not a guy you would say, this is a New Generation guy. Another clue. Not a guy that you would look at and be like, oh, this is one of the New Generation guys. You know what I mean? You've got 7 questions. You've asked 7.
Okay, has this wrestler been in more than one SummerSlam?
As this version of him, he was only at one SummerSlam. As the version I'm thinking of. But as other versions of himself, he was in multiple SummerSlams.
Oh, okay. So he has multiple SummerSlams. I think it's, I'll take a guess.
If you guess, that's it. It's over.
Yeah, that's it. That's fine with me.
Who is it?
I think it's Crush.
Man, you were so close. But it is not Crush.
Repo Man.
You were so close. You couldn't. If you were any closer, if it had been a snake, it'd have bit you, sexy Chino. Because the guy that Crush wrestled at his only SummerSlam appearance was the Repo Man at Wembley Stadium. SummerSlam 92, right?
Yeah, I was thinking, like you said, the version of it. So I was thinking, okay, so he's not the version.
Hey, but you couldn't have been any closer.
You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la.
By the way, have you ever had anything repossessed?
No.
I never have either, but I feel like if this song was playing while my like car got repossessed,
you'd be okay with it, right?
Yeah, I couldn't get that mad. Like, listen to this little jam. Yeah, you can only get so mad if you see your car getting repossessed and this song's playing in the background. Oh man, close but no cigar, sexy Chino. You're right there, right there. But it didn't even cross your mind, Repo Man, or you were just thinking of Crush the whole time.
Because like you said different versions of it, and I remember like, oh, Crush, and you said like a version of him. So I'm thinking, okay, it can't be, has to be somebody who was like the character over there.
Well, then I'm talking about, the version of Barry Darsow was Smash, and then this new version was the Repo Man. Not the same wrestlers. I guess there's a gray area with that because they never said, this guy's Smash, Repo Man Smash. But, what I was trying to say was it was another gimmick. It was the same guy, but another gimmick. But I guess as for now, the losing streak continues.
I got the Kurt Hawkins streak, man.
You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la.
All right, well, we're gonna take our last commercial break and come back and wrap things up.
Let me tell you something. Nobody knows more about being cool than the Hitman. And let me tell you something. It is not cool to smoke. Be a survivor and don't smoke.
What did I tell you, Chino? Stop smoking. Now you heard it straight from the mouth of Bret the Hitman Hart. You remember those PSAs?
Yeah, and I remember like seeing Jake the Snake Roberts in those ads too.
Yeah, that must have been kind of funny. That's like what the pot calling the kettle black. But he's changed around. He He's turned a new leaf.
Yeah, he truly has. He truly has.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually gotten better. Like, so that's good. Just at the time and the career that he's had, it's like that just kind of seems like an oxymoron.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, just want to thank you again, Sexy Chino, for coming on the podcast. Can you let the people know where they can find you on the medias, where they can find you in the ring, in the wrestling ring in action?
Yeah, man. If you want to check me out, I'm at Dance Chino Dance, Twitter and Instagram. Follow at Wrestling for Wrestling. That's on Instagram. At Wrestling PW on Twitter. And you check out at Compton Mania. That's another good things that another company is building, But yeah, overall, that's the places you can find me. But yeah, it's about having fun, man, and no matter what, it's entertainment value.
Yeah, and for the listeners, as always, I'll put links to Sexy Chino's social media in the show notes of this episode, so check that out if you want to give him a follow. As for me, follow me on I have a website now, so you can just go directly to the website, RetroTiburon.com, RetroTiburon. On there, I have all the episodes that are archived on there, so you can listen to the episodes there. You can leave me a review, which would help out the podcast a lot with the algorithm. And you can leave me a message. You can leave me voicemails. If anybody wants to leave a voicemail, go to the website, RetroTiburon.com. Look for the purple microphone icon on the bottom right-hand corner, and you can simply click on there, leave me a voicemail. If it's not too mean or too vulgar, I'll play it on the podcast, on a future podcast episode. You can sing a song, you can read a poem, you can vent about your workday, whatever. I'll play it on the podcast as long as it's not too vulgar or mean. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Any last words, Sexy Chino? Anything you want to say?
Pretty much, it was fun, man.
Yeah.
And we'll see how long the
You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la.
But it's still fun, man. At the end of the day, thank you.
It's like you said, it's about having fun, and as always, not as always actually, I usually leave you guys with the sounds of the band Ternura. This time I'm actually leaving you with the sounds of the lead singer of Ternura. His name is Joe Esq, Joesq. He has a new EP album out. It's called, what's it called? Let me look it up really quick. It's called Saturn Return. Check him out. He's on Spotify. He's on YouTube Music. I'll put a link to his album as well. That's it. See you on the other side, Chino.